My first guest is a young man that you will probably recognize. You've seen him a lot on television, and I guess maybe we're gonna show the piece of one of them right now. Roll the tape.
For over 30 years, Johnny Carson was the face of late-night television, a man who seemed immune to emotional vulnerability. Every night on The Tonight Show, he projected composure, witty, calm, in control. He was the master of timing and subtle humor, the cool and charming confidant to millions of Americans ending their day. But beneath that perfect poise was a man who, on rare occasions, let the world glimpse the person behind the performer. These moments, when Carson's professional armor cracked and his emotions surfaced, became some of the most powerful, unforgettable scenes in television history. Carson's career was defined by restraint. He came from the Midwest, where emotions were meant to be private. He often said that the job of a host was to make others shine, not to reveal yourself. But when genuine emotion broke through his polished exterior, it hit viewers with incredible force, because it was real. He didn't plan it, he didn't want it, but it happened anyway. And those were the moments that made America fall in love with Johnny all over again. One of the most legendary instances came in 1981, when Jimmy Stewart appeared on The Tonight Show. Stewart, the beloved actor from classics like It's a Wonderful Life, had been a close friend of Carson's and a frequent guest. That night, Stewart brought a poem he had written about his golden retriever, Bo, who had recently passed away. No one, not even Johnny, knew what he was about to read. Stewart began with his familiar, soft-spoken voice, describing Bo's quirks, how he'd wait by the bed, follow him around, and fill the house with life. But as the poem went on, the tone changed. Stewart described Bo's absence, the silence that replaced the wagging tail and warm companionship. His voice trembled, and suddenly the studio, normally full of laughter, went completely still. Then cameras caught it. Johnny Carson, eyes glistening, silently wiping away tears. He tried to hide it, lowering his head, dabbing quickly at his eyes, but everyone saw it. The great Johnny Carson was crying on national television. It wasn't a performance. It was the purest human response. The grief of one man connecting with another's loss. For viewers at home, that was the night they saw not a host, but a person. Someone who felt, who loved, who mourned. The phone lines at NBC lit up for days afterward. Thousands of people called and wrote letters saying how moved they were, not just by Stewart's poem, but by Johnny's reaction. That simple moment, between two old friends, became one of the most replayed clips in Tonight Show history. 11 years later, another emotional moment would come, this time during Carson's final week on the air in 1992. After 30 years and more than 4,500 episodes, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson was coming to an end. There was an air of celebration mixed with sadness. The crew, the audience, even Carson himself could feel it. This was the end of an era. That week, one guest in particular gave Carson a farewell he never forgot. Bette Midler. Known for her powerful voice and bold personality, she was supposed to bring energy to the penultimate show. But what she brought instead was grace and emotion. Toward the end of her interview, she turned to Carson and said she wanted to sing something for him. The band began to play One for My Baby and One More for the Road. And suddenly, the tone of the room shifted. As Midler sang the smoky, bittersweet song about goodbyes and last calls, Carson's face changed. The smile softened, the eyes glistened. This wasn't just another guest performance. It was a farewell between friends. By the end of the song, Johnny was visibly emotional, his voice cracking as he tried to thank her. When Midler embraced him, the tears finally came. It was one of the most beautiful moments in late-night history. A farewell not just between two entertainers, but between an icon and his audience. But Carson's vulnerability wasn't always tied to farewells. In 1991, a year before his retirement, tragedy struck his personal life. His son, Rick Carson, was killed in a car accident while taking photographs along a California road. The loss devastated him. Yet, when he returned to the show, he spoke about it only briefly, thanking viewers for their condolences. Then he moved on, just as he always did. But when Robin Williams appeared shortly after, something remarkable happened. Known for his rapid-fire wit and wild energy, Williams toned it down that night. He made Johnny laugh, but also gave him space, the kind of silent empathy only someone who truly understood could offer. As the segment went on, Carson's carefully constructed calm began to tremble. His eyes grew moist. For a man who rarely displayed emotion publicly, even a small tear was monumental. Later, Carson admitted privately that Robin had given him exactly what he needed that night. Not laughter, but comfort. Another unforgettable moment came when Sammy Davis Jr. appeared on the show after battling throat cancer. Once a vibrant, unstoppable performer, Davis now looked frail, his voice rasping from treatment. Yet he insisted on appearing, telling producers, "The public needs to see what cancer looks like." Carson, upon seeing his friend step onto the stage, was visibly shaken. During the performance, Davis's voice broke, but his determination didn't. Carson's eyes filled with tears. When Sammy thanked him for supporting him throughout his career, especially during times when racial barriers were high, Johnny's voice cracked as he tried to respond. It was one of the rare times he didn't hide his emotion. After the show, he had to step away to collect himself, something he almost never did. That night, viewers saw something much deeper than a talk show interview. They saw friendship, respect, and love. 1 year later, during his final episode, Carson received another surprise: a live phone call from Jimmy Stewart. It wasn't planned. As Johnny was reminiscing about his years on air, Stewart's unmistakable voice came through. "Well, Johnny," he began in that familiar, gentle tone. Carson froze, a smile spreading across his face. Not the host's smile, but a real one. Stewart expressed his admiration and friendship, his voice aged but warm. Carson, normally so quick with words, went silent for several seconds. His throat tightened, and when he finally responded, his voice wavered. It was a quiet, unguarded moment, two legends saying goodbye. Then there was Ed McMahon, Carson's right-hand man for 3 decades, the booming voice that began every show with, "Here's Johnny." During the final week, McMahon gave a heartfelt tribute to his friend. His usual confident tone softened as he thanked Carson for their years together, for their friendship, for the journey they shared. And for once, Johnny couldn't hide behind humor. He nodded, eyes moist, lips pressed tightly. Both men were fighting tears, two professionals who had built something extraordinary, saying goodbye not just to a show, but to a shared life's work. And finally, Carol Burnett, one of Carson's favorite guests, gave him an unexpected gift during her final appearance. Known for her humor and warmth, she started their conversation as usual. Funny, sharp, quick. But as the segment neared its end, she turned serious. She spoke directly to Johnny, thanking him for his kindness, his support, and his quiet generosity. How he'd helped countless performers, often without taking credit. Carson, clearly caught off guard, swallowed hard, adjusted his tie, and cleared his throat, his telltale signs of emotion. His eyes glistened as she spoke. Afterward, he admitted to his producer, "Carol got me there." These rare moments, with Stewart, Midler, Williams, Davis, McMahon, Burnett, reveal the truth behind the man who shaped late-night television. For all his composure, Johnny Carson was deeply human. His tears, though few, were never for show. They came from friendship, grief, admiration, real emotions that even he couldn't control. In a world where television so often manufactures sentiment, Carson's vulnerability stood out because it was genuine. He didn't plan these moments. He didn't want them. But when they happened, they reminded viewers that beneath the suit, the jokes, and the timing was a man who felt things deeply. And maybe that's why, decades later, those few times Johnny Carson cried remain some of the most unforgettable moments in television history. Not because he broke down, but because, for once, he simply let the world see his heart.